The crystal chandeliers of Chicago's Hotel Imperial cast a soft golden shimmer over white linen tablecloths and silver cutlery polished to perfection. In the heart of the restaurant, laughter mixed with the clink of wine glasses, and a pianist played gentle jazz near the bar, the kind of place where you whispered more than you spoke, where power dressed in tailored suits and passed judgment with quiet glances. Claire Morgan moved between tables with the grace of someone who didn't belong but learned to survive. Her honey-brown hair was tied back in a neat twist. The creases under her eyes betrayed more than exhaustion. They hinted at a past no one here knew. The black apron wrapped around her waist hid a body that once wore a white lab coat. Her fingers, now used to balancing dessert trays, once held the future of neuroscience in them. Tonight, table 18 was different. VIP, the maitre d' whispered, handing Claire the printed menu with the special wine pairing. Gregory Hayes, and his son. Claire's body stilled for half a second. She knew that name. Everyone in Chicago did. Hayes Global, oil, shipping, energy, media, billionaire, widower, untouchable. But Claire knew more. She knew things no one else did, things even Gregory had tried to forget. Her eyes shifted toward the corner booth. There he was, Gregory Hayes, late 50s, silver at his temples, face carved with power and guilt. Sitting across from him was a boy no older than 7, Owen, pale, fragile, and confined to a sleek black wheelchair that seemed too cold for a child so small. Claire walked over, keeping her steps steady, her breath calm. This was supposed to be just another shift. Another night pretending to be someone she wasn't. Gregory didn't look up until she spoke. "Good evening. May I offer you our chef's specials?" He glanced at her once, then again, slower. Something flickered behind his eyes. Recognition maybe, but it vanished just as fast. "I'll take the ribeye," he said, medium rare. "My son, the pasta, no cheese." Claire nodded. "And for a drink?" "Sparkling water." She turned to Owen. His hands rested limp on his lap, his eyes dull, the kind of dull that doesn't come from boredom, but from pain that lives too long. Claire's voice softened. "Would you like apple juice, sweetheart? Or maybe something warm?" Owen barely blinked. Gregory leaned in, voice tight. He doesn't speak much, or react. Paralyzed waist down. Car accident 2 years ago. Claire nodded, but she didn't walk away. Instead, she crouched beside Owen, far enough not to overwhelm, close enough to see. "I'm sorry that happened," she said gently, "but I need to tell you something. Something important." Gregory shifted uncomfortably. "Is there an issue?" Claire stood, then looked directly at him. Her voice didn't waver. "I can make your son walk again." For a moment, the restaurant froze. A server dropped a spoon nearby. The pianist faltered on a note. Gregory stared, blinking slowly like he hadn't heard right. "I beg your pardon," he said, his tone hard. "I can help him walk again," Claire repeated, her voice low but firm. "Not a miracle. A method. My method. It was stolen, buried, but it works." Gregory's eyes narrowed. "You're a waitress." "I was a doctor. A neurologist. My research was buried by people your company has done business with. I don't need your money, but your son deserves a chance." His jaw clenched. "That's a cruel thing to say if it's not true." "It is true," Claire whispered, looking down at Owen. "I can prove it." She stood tall again, no fear in her eyes, only the weight of a past finally catching up. Gregory exhaled, slow and deliberate. "If you're lying, I'll ruin you." "If I'm lying," Claire replied, "you won't have to." He looked at her for a long time, like he was trying to see past the apron, past the restaurant lights, into a truth he'd buried long ago. Finally he spoke. "Come to my estate, tomorrow, noon. If you're not there, this conversation never happened." Claire gave a short nod and walked away. Behind her, Gregory turned to his son, unaware that the woman who had just rocked his world wasn't just any waitress. She was his daughter, and everything was about to change. The next afternoon, Claire stood at the edge of a wrought iron gate so tall it looked like it could hold back the sky. The name Hayes was etched in silver across the archway. Beyond it, a long stone driveway curved toward a mansion of glass, steel, and wealth built to keep the world out. The guard at the gate checked a tablet and nodded. "You're expected." The gate swung open with a soft hum. Claire stepped through slowly, her stomach tight with nerves, but not fear. She had waited for this moment for years. Every step toward the house felt like walking back through time, into the shadows of a childhood she never had. A sleek black SUV waited at the end of the drive. A driver opened the rear door without a word. Inside, the air smelled like leather and silence. Claire's fingers clenched in her lap as the car glided forward. When it stopped, a tall man in a black suit opened the door. "Doctor." "Morgan." The name hit like a pulse of electricity. She nodded. "I go by Claire now." He led her through the front doors, into a mansion where everything was glass and stone and money. But there was no warmth, no photographs, no sign a child lived here. In the sunroom, Owen sat near a window, staring outside. His wheelchair looked small against the enormous space. The light made his skin look almost translucent. Gregory stood nearby, arms crossed, a man who didn't like being unsure. "You're late," he said. Claire checked her watch. 3 minutes. Still late. Still here. A flicker of something passed between them. Challenge, recognition, history he hadn't put together yet. Gregory motioned to Owen. "He won't talk to you. Don't expect him to. He's had the best. Harvard doctors, German specialists. No one's helped." "I'm not them," Claire said, setting her worn canvas bag on the floor beside Owen's chair. She knelt again, not too close, not too far. "Hi, Owen," she said gently. "Remember me from last night?" No answer. She didn't flinch. "I'm not going to ask you a lot of questions," she continued. "I'm not here to fix you, just here to listen, to try something different. Only if you want." Still nothing. Claire reached into her bag and pulled out a small object, a wind-up bird with painted wings. "My grandfather used to have one of these," she whispered. "He said it could fly if you believed hard enough." She wound it up, set it on the floor. It whirred and stumbled forward in crooked little hops. Owen's eyes followed it. Claire smiled. "That's enough for today," Gregory frowned. "That's it?" She stood. "The brain isn't a switch. It's a language. You've been yelling at his nerves for 2 years. I'm going to speak gently." Gregory shook his head. "I don't have time for gentle." Claire stepped close, her voice low. "You're his father. You don't have a choice." That silenced him. As she gathered her things, Owen's hand twitched slightly, just a flicker. Claire saw it. She said nothing, but her heart skipped. That movement meant something. His nerves weren't dead. Just scared. Dormant, waiting. Later, as Claire was escorted out, Gregory walked with her to the main doors. "What are you really after?" he asked. She turned. "You offered me money," he nodded. $2 billion. If you can make him walk again." Claire smiled, just slightly. "I'm not doing this for money." "Then why?" Her eyes held his. "Let's just say, I've waited a long time for this." And then she left, leaving Gregory standing in the silence of his perfect home. He didn't know it yet, but the woman he just let into his house had already begun to tear down its walls, brick by hidden brick. Claire returned the next day just after noon. The same driver picked her up. The same silence filled the car. But something was different. She wasn't just a visitor anymore. She was a presence in Owen's world. Inside the estate, the staff had already adjusted. A tray of herbal teas waited in the sunroom. A small rug had been placed beneath Owen's chair. A new sketch pad and a box of crayons sat on the coffee table untouched. Owen was in his usual spot by the window, his eyes following the clouds this time. Claire didn't speak right away. She pulled her chair beside him, not facing him, just close enough that their shoulders almost lined up. She opened her bag, pulled out a slim digital recorder, and set it on the table. It looked like a pen. "What's that?" Gregory's voice broke the silence from across the room. Claire didn't flinch. "I record therapy sessions. Helps me track muscle activity and response over time." "You didn't ask," Gregory said, folding his arms. "I didn't need to. This isn't for publication. It's for results." He didn't argue, but he didn't like it. Claire turned to Owen. "Today, I'm going to play you a story. You don't have to listen if you don't want to." She tapped her phone and a soft voice began to speak, her own, recorded the night before. It was a story about a turtle who was afraid of moving, about how the turtle thought his legs were broken because no one ever asked him what he needed. As the turtle learned to breathe slowly, the story taught, his feet began to twitch, not because someone yelled, but because someone stayed. Owen didn't react at first, but halfway through the story, Claire noticed something. His fingers. The smallest one on his right hand tapped the side of his wheelchair, just once. Then again. Claire didn't show it. She kept her eyes on the sketchpad in her lap and started to draw, a stick turtle with oversized glasses and a lopsided smile. "Do you want to color him in?" she asked softly. No answer. But Owen's eyes drifted toward the crayons. She pushed the green one a little closer, didn't say a word. He didn't take it. But he looked, and for now, that was enough. That evening, Claire sat in her apartment, a cramped studio above a bakery that always smelled like burnt sugar, and listened to the recorder again. She noted the finger tap, time-stamped it, saved it to a secure folder. Proof, small but real. Her hand trembled as she added it to a second folder on her cloud drive. Case. Owen Hayes. Phase 1, initial response. She had already backed it up on a hard drive hidden beneath the floorboard under her bed. She wasn't going to lose evidence this time, not again. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text only. "We saw him tap his hand." "That's new. Was it you?" Claire stared at the screen for a moment before replying, "It was Owen. I just gave him space." No reply came, but she didn't need one. Gregory was watching. The next day, the sunroom felt warmer. Owen looked up when she walked in, just for a second, but Claire noticed. Gregory wasn't there at first, but a security camera blinked red in the corner. Claire worked anyway. She showed Owen pressure points on a plush doll, gently tapped behind his knees, then above his heels. After 3 tries, his right leg twitched. It was small, barely a flick, but this time Owen looked down at it too. Eyes wide. He had felt it. Claire didn't say anything dramatic. She didn't cheer or gasp. She just whispered, "See? Even the turtle gets there." That night, Gregory stood at the glass doors of the sunroom long after Claire had left. He replayed the footage from the camera, the leg movement, the crayons, the moment Owen reached for one without touching it. Gregory's jaw tensed. What is she? A fraud? A miracle, or something else entirely? He turned away from the footage and poured himself a scotch. The drink burned going down. He didn't know what scared him more, that she might be lying, or that she might be right. 3 weeks passed. The sunroom had become a world of its own, a quiet island made of crayons, storybooks, and whispered encouragement. Owen now smiled, just a little, when Claire entered. His right foot twitched during stretching exercises. He had started reaching for objects with intention. His fingers no longer lay limp in his lap. The change wasn't just physical. He laughed once, just once, but it was enough to make the house staff freeze in place, unsure if they had imagined it. Claire didn't press him. Every session was the same gentle rhythm. Speak, wait, try, and leave space for silence. Gregory remained distant. He never sat in the sessions, but his shadow lingered behind the hallway glass, always watching, always calculating. Claire could feel the storm building behind his silence. Then came the journal. It was a rainy Wednesday. Claire had left early after Owen grew tired mid-session. The staff assumed he was napping, but Owen had gone to the East Wing, his mother's old music room. It hadn't been touched in years. The door stuck when he opened it, the scent of dust and memories rushing out like ghosts. The room had high ceilings and faded wallpaper with tiny blue birds. A cracked violin case sat on the floor. Sheet music was scattered on a piano bench. Owen wheeled himself in slowly, drawn by something he couldn't name. That's when he saw the edge of a red ribbon peeking out from a crack between the wall panel and the floorboard. He leaned down, fingers brushing the edge, and tugged gently. Out came a slim leather journal, soft with age. On the first page, in blue ink, was a name written in delicate script, Sophie Bennett Hayes. His mother. Owen turned the pages slowly. Her handwriting was neat and swirling. Dates marked the corners. April 2nd, 2015. He did it again. Gregory lied. He paid her to disappear, said it was for my protection, said she wasn't family, but she is, my sister, pregnant, alone. Owen frowned. He couldn't read everything. Some words were too big, but he flipped pages, looking at dates, circling back when he saw the name appear again. Claire. June 10th, 2015. I dreamt of her last night. Claire. She'd be nearly 10 now. If she ever knew who her father was. If she knew he was mine too. Owen blinked. His small finger touched the name again. Claire. The woman who helped him stretch, who never rushed, who told stories about turtles and whispered, "You're safe now." Was she his mother's sister? No, that would make her. He gasped, quietly. His sister. Later that night, when Gregory walked past Owen's room to say goodnight, he found the boy wide awake, journal open in his lap. "What's that?" Gregory asked. Owen looked up, then pointed to one name in the journal. "Claire," he whispered. Gregory took a slow step back. "You know her?" Owen asked softly. "She's in here." Gregory didn't answer. He took the journal from Owen's hands and flipped through it, eyes scanning the words that had haunted him for decades. The truth was there, ink on paper, the name Claire, the betrayal, the money he paid, the sister he erased, the daughter he never acknowledged. He sat in the hallway after tucking Owen into bed, the journal heavy in his hands, his past heavier in his chest. He'd known the waitress looked familiar. Her eyes were too sharp, her silence too steady. He just never allowed himself to think the unthinkable. Until now. The next morning, Claire walked into the sunroom to find Gregory waiting. He didn't yell. He didn't accuse. He simply held up the journal. "You know what this is?" Claire nodded. "Yes." "You read it?" "I lived it." He stepped closer. "Why didn't you tell me?" Claire met his eyes. "Because I needed you to see who I was, without the guilt." "And now?" Claire's voice cracked, just slightly. "Now I need you to admit what you did, what the Bennetts did, what you let happen." Gregory's jaw tightened. In the next room, Owen sat by the window, listening. He didn't say anything, but he wrapped his small hand around the green crayon Claire had once given him, and squeezed it, because for the first time he realized his story wasn't just broken. It was bigger than anyone had told him. Rain swept across the windows of the Hayes estate in waves, like the sky itself was trying to wash something away. In the sunroom, Claire paced quietly, her shoes clicking softly against the floor. Owen sat nearby, sketching turtles again, one with a gold crown, one holding a crayon sword. The air felt heavier than usual. Everyone sensed it. Gregory walked in without his usual stiffness. His hair was damp from the weather, his expression unreadable. He held out his phone to Claire without a word. On the screen was a video, shaky, filmed on a smartphone. A man stood on a stage at a medical conference in New York. He wore a brace on one leg and leaned slightly on a cane, but he smiled like someone who had been given back a life he'd thought lost. Claire stared at the man. She knew that face. "Joshua Bennett," she said, her voice barely a whisper, alive, not dead. "Where did you get this?" she asked. Gregory took back the phone. "A colleague of mine sent it from a neurology symposium. Said the man gave a talk about surviving a rare brainstem trauma, mentioned experimental therapy. sounded familiar. Claire felt the ground shift beneath her. Joshua Bennett. The patient her method had helped. The patient the Bennett family had said she killed. They had declared him dead to cover up their theft of her research, had paid off hospital boards, buried evidence, and pinned it all on her. And here he was, walking, alive. She stepped back, hand covering her mouth. He was never dead. Gregory nodded slowly. They lied. And I believed them. He walked to the fireplace and stared into the flames like he was trying to burn away the past. I didn't just fail you, Claire. I helped them ruin you. There was no pride in his voice, only weight. Claire's hands trembled, but her voice was steady. Then help me fix it. Later that evening, Gregory's team contacted Joshua directly. They sent a private jet. He arrived 2 days later. In the guest wing, Claire waited nervously. She hadn't seen Joshua in 4 years, since before the night everything was taken from her. When he entered, he limped but stood tall. His beard was thicker, but the kindness in his eyes was still there. Claire, he said softly, they told me you left. That you disappeared. She shook her head. They told the world you were dead. His face fell. I should have said something. But they threatened my family, cut off care. I didn't think I had a choice. You do now, Claire said, her voice firm. Come with us. Tell the truth. Joshua nodded. Whatever you need. Gregory arranged the press conference in less than 48 hours. His PR team begged him to reconsider. They warned of scandal, lawsuits, legacy collapse. Gregory didn't flinch. The truth mattered now. The conference room at the Hayes Foundation building overflowed with reporters. Microphones lined the long wooden table. Cameras flashed as Gregory walked in beside Claire, Joshua, and Owen. Gregory took the podium. There's something I need to confess, he began, his voice echoing across the room. I allowed a lie to destroy a brilliant woman's life. I believed powerful people over proof, over her. I was wrong. He stepped back and let Claire speak. She wore a simple blue dress and no makeup. Her voice was calm, her words careful. I created a method for treating neurological paralysis using stimulus-based emotional mapping, she said. It worked. But when it threatened others' reputations, I was made the scapegoat. Today, I stand here with the man they said I killed. Joshua walked to her side and smiled for the cameras. She saved my life. Claire knelt beside Owen next. He was told he'd never walk, but today, she paused holding out her hand. Owen grinned and stood slowly, one shaky foot forward, then the other. He held a cane but didn't need help. The crowd gasped. Cameras snapped. The truth was no longer hidden. Claire stood tall. I don't want revenge. I want redemption. Not just for me, but for every child like Owen, for every patient left behind. As the applause grew, Gregory leaned toward her. What now? Claire looked down at her little brother, her patient, her family, and smiled. We build something better. 6 months later, the glass doors of the Diane Sophie Institute for Neurological Rehabilitation opened to sunlight and the hum of quiet hope. Named after 2 women Claire had lost, her mother, Diane Morgan, and her aunt, Sophie Bennett Hayes, the center stood on Chicago's South Side, far from the glass towers of Gregory's empire. It didn't shimmer with wealth, it pulsed with purpose. Inside, the walls were painted with gentle blues and warm grays. The floors were soft, the lighting natural, the noise low. A quiet sanctuary for kids and adults alike who had been told never one too many times. The lobby smelled faintly of crayons and eucalyptus. Soft music played in the background. No wheelchairs lined the hallway. They weren't hidden, but they weren't who the patients were. They were tools, temporary ones. Claire stood at the center of it all, clipboard in hand, hair pulled back, lab coat crisp. But her eyes? They were soft, focused, alive again. Across from her, Owen stood in front of a line of onlookers, donors, reporters, patients, and their families. He clutched a green cane with a red turtle sticker near the handle. His spine was straighter than it had ever been. Claire held out her hand. "You ready?" she asked. Owen nodded. His eyes sparkled. He took one step, then another, then another. By the time he reached her, the room had fallen completely silent. The applause came a moment later, slow at first, then swelling. People cried openly. Cameras flashed, but Claire didn't look at them. She looked only at Owen. "You did that," she whispered. "No," Owen said, hugging her waist. "We did." A few feet away, Gregory watched, his eyes glistening. He wasn't the same man from the restaurant that night. His suits were still tailored, his shoes still polished, but something in him had softened. The way he clapped, the way he smiled, the way he let himself feel. Later that afternoon, as the building emptied and the golden glow of early evening spilled across the lawn, Claire sat on the back steps of the Institute with Owen beside her, and Gregory not far behind. The grass was damp from the morning rain, but the air smelled clean. Gregory joined them quietly, lowering himself beside Claire. "I've made many investments," he said, "but none like this." Claire didn't answer right away. She looked down at Owen, who was drawing turtles again in a spiral notebook. "Money didn't build this," she said. "Regret did. And love." Gregory turned his gaze to her. "Do you think you'll ever forgive me?" Claire looked at him. "I already did," she said. "But forgiving you doesn't mean I forget. It means I won't let the past control my future." He nodded slowly. "I thought I could buy peace," Gregory said. "Turns out I had to earn it." Owen tugged on Claire's sleeve. "Can I tell them my story now? Like you do?" She smiled and nodded. "You already are." Later that night, Claire walked the halls of the Institute, turning off lights. Each room felt like a promise, one she had finally kept. In her office, a framed crayon drawing hung on the wall. 2 stick figures, one tall, one small, a red heart between them. The same one Owen had given her on their second week together. She stood in front of it, her hand resting on the frame. Not everyone gets a second chance. But sometimes, when the truth is finally told, when silence is broken with purpose, when love rises from betrayal, even a boy who couldn't walk, even a father who couldn't love, even a woman who lost everything, can find something better than justice. They find each other, and that changes everything.